Hello, welcome to Get Sandwiched. Today we're going to learn how to read minds of your audiences. Whether you want to inform, persuade, or entertain people, it's really good to know what's in their mind before you start talking to them. Knowing where their default position is in issues that you are going to talk about will inform you how much evidence you'll have to provide, how much information you have to collect before you can persuade them into doing something. So for example, if you want to get someone to become a vegetarian, then it makes sense to know whether they are already vegetarian or they are very much meat eater, like me. The more vegetarians you have in the audience, obviously the easier it is to persuade them, and vice versa. It's good to start with something that the audience already know, something that they're already familiar with, and then build up slowly but surely to the information that you'd like to inform them or persuade them to. Even great jokes fall flat when you've heard them before. So knowing what your audience believes before you even start crafting your speech is a key preparation steps that you'd need to take. We will go through an example together on how we can do this. We will use the help of an empathy map as well as a theory on how we can put an argument together, and we'll work through how we can personalize the arguments based on what we know from the empathy map. So, let's go through the empathy map first. This is something that I personally use many times, not so much for the user experience designing, but more for empathizing for other people. That's why it's called empathy map. So the claim is PowerPoints don't kill people, but bullets do. And for our example, we will use Emma as our sample of audience. When you have your audience, try to pick 2 or 3 people. For our demonstration, we will just use one. The first thing you do is to figure out who is Emma. So in this case, Emma is an HR manager. So you put the context of who Emma is at the top, and then with a piece of paper, you can make some of these lines. Emma is an HR manager. What we'd like to know is what Emma is saying, what Emma is doing, what Emma is seeing, hearing, thinking, and feeling. Emma is an HR manager that likes to use many bullet points in her presentation. And she runs many lunch meetings, and she complains a lot that not many people come to her meetings, informational meetings. So we can map this information in Emma's empathy map, with Emma being in the middle. And then we put what she said, which is, I don't have time to prepare. And then also then put what she does, which is she regularly gives lunch workshop. Then she is also seeing that the CEO of the company herself presents with many bullet points. So maybe it's okay. Let's say that you don't really know what is it that she's hearing. You can simply put that you are not sure. And in terms of what she's thinking, especially at the time, maybe you're also not sure. That's fine, you can leave them empty. But we know that she felt bad that no one comes to her lunch workshops, even though she has put a lot of effort into it. Based on this, if you are to give a speech for Emma, you know where the starting position is. She said that she doesn't actually have that much time in order to prepare a better slide. Therefore, she's sticking with the text. You'd have to address this first, otherwise the talk will fall flat. So in order to do that, let's bring in the second helper, and that is a guy called Stephen Toulmin. Stephen Toulmin published a book in 1958 called The Uses of Arguments. It is one of the most cited sources in terms of how we can create good and persuasive arguments. For the building blocks, there are 3 separate ways in order to create an argument. The first one is the claim. A claim is a statement that you're asking the audience to accept that it is valid. And then we have the support. And a support is a reason to believe the claim. These are where the facts and the data are located. The third one is warrant. A warrant is the logic that links the support to the claim. Let me give you an example. Let's say that the claim is getting feedback from other people is priceless. So in this case, the support is 87% of MBA students in Stanford University rated themselves as above average. 87% above average. Statistics failed. In this case, we have a warrant that links the data that 87% of students believe that they are above the 50%. And therefore, we can then link it to the claim that says, because we don't really know where we are in the population, therefore, getting a direct feedback from other people is priceless. Maybe for our career development or in our work, etc. Now, let's go back to Emma. But remember that Emma is a person that kept on using a lot of bullet points in her slides, and she is wondering why a lot of people don't turn up in her workshops. So we want to say a claim to her, and our claim is that removing bullet points from your slides is not difficult. The data we have to support that is by stating a research that shows that changing the slides from text to visual images makes it much more effective and memorable. So the warrant we can have is that changing from text to visual slides will not take too long as we use templates. We should then proceed with a number of templates that we can provide for her so that she will believe us that removing the bullet points in favor for the visual slides will be easy to do. To conclude, the more complex the claim is, the more supporting data and supporting evidence you'd need to have in order to back it up. Also, the more hostile your audience is to the topic, let's say in the cases of the vegetarian, but you have no vegetarian in the audience at all, the more likely you will need to address every single reason why they object being a vegetarian in the past. And the better you are able to counter-argument all of those, the more persuasive your speech becomes. Once you do this using the empathy map as well as the arguments, you'd find that your audience might already know everything that you're about to say, and therefore there's not as much value for you doing the speech. You might find that it's impossible for you to persuade someone within the given time that is allocated to you, considering how far it is the gap between where they are and where do you want them to go. Either way, it's easier to find earlier than later. That's it on how to read minds, particularly your audiences. Join me in the next video where we will go through common structures of speeches that you can easily use in meetings and other daily work opportunities.